Welcome to the Rock On Podcast. Today's episode we have Jenna and Yvonne, two hard rock and metal music fans who have traveled all over the states and the world to experience live music.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jenna, Yvonne. I'm blessed amongst women, two beautiful ladies who are great fans of music. You find a lot of people outside in your neighborhood. I'm not going to say where you live, right? It's a very special place around here because...
Yes. I live in the same apartment complex that Mr. Lemmy Kilmister lived in.
And I'm sure it's like a tourist attraction, right?
I actually just randomly went to a concert because I met two people last weekend who were taking pictures out front of my apartment.
We're supposed to hang out?
Just pictures. It was just pictures out front. After the show that we went to.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for joining me. So this episode, we want to talk about music and as it is, Rock On Podcast, but from the fans' experience, from the point of view of the fans' experience. And that's where I think you excel at that. Tell me about some of your favorite shows or festivals that you have ever attended.
I think for me, my favorite one was probably Rock on the Range when it was Rock on the Range before it switched to Sonic Temple.
I was just going to say the same thing.
It was pretty much the first time that I'd ever been in the Midwest. I mean, Ohio's considered Midwest, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the first time I'd ever been pretty much that far and met very, very awesome people. I think the thing that keeps drawing me back is people. People keep drawing me back to the different festivals and different events that I go to. That's the thing for me.
So I think the only time I went in the Rock on the Range was the last Rock on the Range, and that was right before Chris Cornell, right after he passed away. Like, I found out at midnight. I was sitting at the Rainbow. And like 2 hours later, I was hopping on a plane to fly out there for that weekend, and he was no longer there. But that's also one of my favorite memories because that was one weekend where Metallica played 2 nights, and there were storms after storms, severe weather. And honestly, it was real crazy. But man, those were some of the funnest, craziest experiences. Like, there was one part where we were all hiding out in a car, and we were a pack of condoms and a bottle of lube away from a giant orgy. It was so much fun.
It was crazy. I mean,
it made for the best memories.
Oh yeah, they totally tell you to get out of the festival grounds because, of course, there's metal underneath you, like, everywhere.
Literally.
Yeah,
it's a rock metal festival, and there's literally metal.
There's literally metal.
Hardcore.
And it so they have you either go inside underneath the seating that's in there, underneath the grandstands, or if it got too bad, they'd tell you to get in your car and get the heck out.
Right.
And we went out into the car, and there's literally 10 of us in a like a Ford Traverse or something. It was something.
Yeah, it was a crossover.
And we ended up going back to the hotel, and it was like that. Jenna and Chris and everybody were there, and yeah, it was so much fun. The memories that are made.
We maybe didn't get to see all the shows we wanted to, but the memories are going to last a lifetime.
So what do you remember about this festival? Oh yeah, we were 10 of us in the car. Close to an orgy.
You couldn't move. You couldn't move in the car. You were like,
is that a stick
you were
shift?
sardines.
Do you drive stick shift, or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah, I had no idea they put stick shifts in the passenger seat in the back. Actually, that was something I learned new that year.
So I think it's just the camaraderie, right?
Yeah, and then you see people over and over again. That's one thing I like about Shiprocked too. Is it's cool when you see bands you like, but sometimes it's not even about like, I'm not sure if I really like the lineup this year, but you go because it's family, people you get to see at least once a year that you won't see for the rest of the year.
Which is actually how I met you both. Do you remember the story?
I did.
I was we were at Aftershock. And I was with Miranda, which is a shit show, us trying to cover the whole festival. We were there with the magazine, and we lost, there was no reception.
There was no reception out of there.
No reception out of there.
And but she got a message to me and she told me to go find you, and I was already.
Oh, she actually did. I didn't know that.
I was, and remember, I was already back there. I was already back in where the band media. I was back in media,
right.
and because I was helping somebody else out.
Okay.
I was.
Is that the same year that I was? That I met you too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the same year. So full circle. I mean, she goes, "Can you go help Enrique? Can you go help Enrique?" I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" And she goes, "Just go. I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be interviewing people." I'm like, "All right, I'll go over there."
Yeah, I was actually walking around with her. I think we were making our way from one of the stages to media area. She introduced me to you, and you were with Yvonne. That's how I met you.
Yep.
And then I think, introduction, blah, 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 ha, ha, where are you from? From LA, really? Where you, and then.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
And I knew Miranda from Reno because she was DJ on the radio. She was doing that. And so and I met her at a show. I had never met her, and I met her at a show, right? And then.
The power of music, the power of
right.
our music that we like. And festivals and concerts, and
totally pulls everybody together.
Which
really does.
Reiterates what you just said. Meeting people, and one of the best things about concerts and festivals is the people you meet.
The people, yeah,
for sure.
Testimony that is you too. I don't see you as often.
We see each
Touch
other
here and there.
Yeah.
This girl right here. However,
hopefully once a year we see each other.
Hopefully.
Right. I try and get down here.
Well, I haven't. It took me a long time to see you too. Like there was a big lull in there for a while too. But
thank goodness for social media.
Yeah,
you
just and Snapchat.
That's a love-hate thing. Oh, Snapchat can be fun.
Yeah,
that's more. Most people in the Midwest do that though.
It was like
that's
so,
why I have it.
And that it was the same year that I met Enrique. That I met you.
Oh, really?
And I met Jenna because of
Nicole.
It was Nicole.
Yeah,
another radio personality up in Reno.
Yeah.
So
it's a small world.
It's a small world. The entire world.
6 degrees of separation
within 5 people. So those are some of your favorite festivals, et cetera, et cetera. I think
they're Shiprocked, of course.
Yes. So that's because you always talk about Shiprocked.
Always.
I know that's a Shiprock family that's very, very tight knit.
But it's not just tight because we put new people in every year. Every year there's new fans or new people that go on it. I don't want to say that we're cliquish. There's cliques.
There definitely are cliques, but
the cliques, how in high school, hey, you had the jocks, the metalheads.
You're back to high school.
Yeah.
That's Shiprock.
You were totally back to high school on Shiprock. Totally back to high school.
I don't know. I think Sunset Strip is worse.
But we're all stuck on a boat for 5 days together.
Might as well learn to fucking get along.
And you can't get away. You can't get away from. I mean, you're seeing those people. You can't walk from one end of the ship to the other without.
There's only so much distance you can put between you and that person you may not like.
Yeah.
But again, I actually had this conversation earlier yesterday. I had this conversation with a couple of people that I'm staying with down here that I met on Shiprocked, the Lions, and we had this conversation. I wouldn't have done 90% of the things that I've done, meaning the festivals and Shiprocked and coming here. I went to Sweden last year. And I went to Sweden to hang out with people from Shiprocked.
Right.
Without knowing the people that I know from Shiprocked, I wouldn't have done any of that. I honestly don't think I'd be doing.
And I want to say that's what I've noticed, that your closest music family friends are from Shiprocked.
Shiprocked. Mm-hmm. Big time.
Yeah. And what was the first year you attended?
2016.
Oh.
And I was the year after. I was her noob that year.
Yeah.
But we didn't even stay in the same room.
No,
I had the room to myself.
Because I was already booked.
Yeah.
And we had to shove you in there. And
cram me in there.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. You know what's funny? Earlier when you guys were talking about 10 people shoved inside a car. Are you all fans of The Office by any chance? No?
No,
Creed?
I just know
I
that
am not a TV person.
The reason I'm saying that is there's a scene, there's a character, his name is Creed Bratton, and he says, in the 60s.
I made love to many, many women, often outdoors, in the mud and the rain, and it's possible a man slipped in, would be no way of knowing.
'Cause it was so there's a line. Check it out.
In the 60s?
Yeah,
Lollapalooza?
No, what was
it was in Woodstock.
Woodstock. Yeah. Yeah, Woodstock. Right.
I'm looking at you going, is that
I was
what
like,
he means?
I didn't think that was around that.
Again, what is it? I totally blanked.
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Thinking about the Woody. So he says,
Obviously, it's drawing blood away from his brain. Did you see that the couple from the Woodstock album, like they had met that weekend and they're still together?
Yeah, they're still
No.
together.
Actually, I think just within the last year, I think the woman died. But yeah, they met at Woodstock and got married and had kids, and they did like a whole like then and now photo. But yeah, I think she recently died within the last year I saw. But yeah, how crazy cool is
I have
that?
to check that out.
All right.
Yeah.
Give me
Okay.
a question.
Give me another question. So, tell me about some of the bands that you are currently loving, or some newly discovered bands that you really want to share with people
Oh my goodness.
recently. I know you probably can. You're probably thinking it's way too many.
Well,
Just
Right.
Memphis Mayfire. I saw them on Shipwrecked. It was the first time that I got to see them.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, you could have glued my lips to somebody's butt with that band. Because it was just awesome. Just
Wow.
meant to picture right here. Like, yeah, totally picture you
Wow.
going.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm gonna get some super glue and bring that around for concerts now on.
We're going to one tonight. So
Yeah, right.
okay, so that's one.
I mean, I love the Avatar Boys. I've been a huge fan of theirs for a long time. I'm still on that train with them. There's like one album in there that was kind of like, not my thing, but I just overall, I love what they do, and they've kind of had like a fun little groove with them going on, and now they've kind of switched off a little bit from that freak show stuff and kind of gotten more metal. So I'm totally still hardcore on that Avatar train.
Same.
I love them.
it almost came out of my mouth. That was going to be a bad
Yeah,
one.
I know exactly where you're going. No.
That's what she said.
It almost came out. Anyway, but I love Avatar. I think I need to check out Memphis Mayfire. But why Avatar? What do you think is the one thing that really
I think when
makes you say wow?
when they first came out, they kind of had this freak show vibe to them. Like when they first came to the States, I should say. Their first couple albums before they made it to the States were, metal. But they kind of came out with this freak show metal, and you can honestly kind of sometimes hear that the do 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 like in their music that kind of makes you think of like a monkey clapping the cymbals, but then their stage performance, they just have such like Johannes is an amazing
They have a
frontman, and he's so
presence.
shy in person, but he puts that face paint on, and he's a totally different person, and he's so much fun. He commends the crowd, like oh yeah, we're on here.
It's definitely an alter ego, and he's such a smart guy too. And he
super
speaks
smart.
3-4 different languages, and
I have
he
no
reads a
idea.
lot. I mean, Swedish, English. I think something else he speaks.
I
maybe
have
2 or 3 languages.
maybe Finnish because he lives in Finland now.
Right. Oh, Finland. That's right. Okay, that's probably.
I swear I don't stalk
I
him.
think I remember him. I got a chance to interview him like a few years ago, and I think he says he does read a lot, and he's just a totally different person when you talk to him outside of his, his
Right.
character.
Yeah, for sure.
How about Memphis Mayfire? Why so much about them? What do you love about them?
God, I think it was just they came out of nowhere. It was like for me, they came out of nowhere. It was like one day they weren't there, and then the next day they're there, and meaning just their presence. Again, it's all about stage presence, all about their music.
What do you think was the event that made them go from nothing to noticed? That you can think of, or they can.
I don't even know because I literally heard them right before Shipwrecked. I heard them literally right before Shipwrecked. They were playing them on Octane, and then
You hadn't heard of him before then?
no.
Yeah, no, I've known about them for a while, but I've never really dug into their discography. They were great on Shiprock though, but I think I've seen them once before sometime, but I don't remember where it was.
All right. You probably heard me talk so much about this. For me, recently in the last few years, it's been The Warning, the Three Sisters.
Yeah. Oh, they were at Welcome to
yeah.
The
Rockville.
Three Sisters from
Yeah.
and they're doing pretty good. What is it? What was it for me? 3 little girls practicing maybe
I
at
mean-
home. They upload a video, they become viral. Ellen DeGeneres invites them to the show. They get a scholarship. Next thing you know, I always
Weren't they playing
they're playing all the major
video
all
game? But weren't they playing video? It was video games, right?
Rock band.
They were playing Rock Band.
Yeah.
rock. Oh, I didn't know that.
That's how
Yeah.
they got hooked on
That's
that.
how they got hooked on music. It was
Oh,
like,
fun.
Yeah.
When did they start playing though as a band?
Probably like 10 years ago.
Oh, wait, so how old
I-
were they? They were like
They
they were
like
12.
They were like 12 years old.
Yeah.
Now they're like
Wow.
22. Yeah.
I was gonna say you said little girls. I'm like, I don't think they're little anymore.
Yeah,
but
no.
back
Yeah.
then, yeah.
Back
okay.
then. So I don't know, maybe like 7-8 years ago, found out about them, and I stuck with that. And like, I think they're going somewhere. There's been a couple bands that I've noticed here and there in the years I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this was a wise words from a friend of mine, a photographer, Nigel. He used to shoot sick puppies. So he was like, I had other rock and roll photography heroes, but he was one that always it was very close to where I wanted to be. He was very an obtainable goal. So one day he said, I asked him for advice. What do you think I should do in order for me to be more noticeable with my work, with what I do? And he said, well, when you find a band, stick with them. There's gazillion bands. There's thousands of bands. But when you find an act that you truly, truly believe in, don't try to do 1,000 or 100 of them. Try to stick with one or very few. And yeah, that was my story with them. Now, have you ever dated any members from any band out there?
Nope.
You don't have to say names, but have you ever dated or made out with a band member from?
well, now that you put it that way.
This is why you want us on the show. You want to get in the nitty gritty.
Ugh.
There was that one time at band camp.
That one time at band camp, right? Oh, I have had, not to get off subject, but it's kind of off subject. You want to know what my favorite pickup line that I've ever heard was? So I was back home, and this is like Minnesota country, right? And there's a corner, like this little bar, like just down the road from where I grew up, which is in the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, on a dirt gravel road.
Is it a dive bar?
There was, it's like a dirty old farmer bar. And there was this band playing for like their big, like, hey, Cobden Days, like their big city festival thing, right? And it was a cover band, and the name of the band is Foreplay. But it's all covers and it's all night long. But by Minnesota standards,
That's what she said.
yeah, by Minnesota standards, the boonies, they're not too bad actually for a cover band. So we get done, like the parties and everything done, and I was bartending, and we went over to one of the bartenders' houses like a block away, and it's this huge party that goes on, and I'm just sitting on the front porch, kind of catching my grip afterwards, and this kid comes up to me and is like, "So, my dad's in the band." It's one of the funniest, best pickup lines that I've ever heard in my entire life. And of course,
Did it
that
work?
means you were old.
I was.
That means he saw you as old.
Well, no, he was my age, but in the middle rural Minnesota, like, my dad's in the band, like that's cool to
shit.
them, it's
Rock
not like,
star.
I'm with the band,
Literally.
Yeah. So
No, I have
that was
never
amazing.
dated anybody in a band. Well, yeah, no, not at all. Have I made out with somebody in a band?
Oh,
With
come
another,
on,
with,
don't be
with
shy.
the nether regions, I've made out.
Define. Do you have to define made out? What entails?
You heard
making out?
what I just said.
Oh, what did you say?
I said maybe with the nether regions I made out.
Yeah, I think that counts.
And I'm not naming names. Remember?
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I asked the question, both of you went,
We're like,
Yep.
you wanted the nitty gritty.
Yep. No name. No
I
names.
mean, I can't say that I've dated guys who were in bands, but none of them that were like hugely famous,
Yeah.
I suppose, or anything.
but somewhat famous.
Huh?
Somewhat famous.
Somewhat
I've met a lot of
famous.
I mean, speaking of, so the bands that we're going to go see tonight, I've known New Medicine for. Oh, this is a good story too. So
Hey, there you go.
New Medicine came to Reno, and they were playing a show, and I was totally infatuated with them. They were playing with Hailstorm. So I've known Hailstorm and I've known New Medicine since way before Grammys, way before any of that. I've been in the studio with Hailstorm before.
Hailstorm's in Reno too, or came from Reno, right?
No.
Oh,
They're from Pennsylvania, but anyway, I've got to go in the studio with them. But anyway, when New Medicine came to Reno, Danny, guitar player, he's been down here in the LA area for a while doing modeling and stuff. So they were together. They took a hiatus. Everybody went and did their own things. Jake, the lead singer, was in Nashville writing and doing country music and writing other music for other people and did some new songs for New Medicine. Brady was, I almost want to say like, Peace Corps type stuff. He was but I think he was more on the finance side. So he was doing stuff like that. Ryan, drummer, was doing, like DJing like clubs and stuff, and Danny was here and my ex paid the guy anyway that guy
you shall not be named.
Well, there's another one of those that I should tell you about too.
Well, it depends which guy
For you, we're gonna be here
but
all
anyway
night.
so
We have a show
he
to
went
go to, Yvonne.
I know. So he goes up to Danny and he goes, hey, go ask her if she'll marry you. And I was sitting at a table, and Danny literally came over and said, so. He goes, you want to get married? And I looked at him like, because Danny's dark hair, dark, tall, good looking. And I'm looking at him, and he's like probably
So
10
he's tall,
years.
dark, and handsome.
Yeah, he's like 10 years younger than me. And I'm just, I think my mouth dropped open. And so that was the best pickup line. Want to get married.
Oh, there's a.
But we're gonna go see him tonight, so that's what's fun.
Yay! Maybe we'll make a.
And
quick,
so they're
quick
back
rush
together.
to-
So they took like a 5 or
Hiatus.
6, 8 year, I don't know, hiatus, and now they got new music and they're back together. So
Right. So, are you preparing us to tell us that maybe this weekend we're gonna have to head off to Vegas for a shotgun wedding? Quick.
no,
Shotgun wedding.
I wish.
Dun, 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 dun.
I wish. Wow, that would be
so We're
awesome.
gonna get married. Yeah. No, that's
So,
that's a.
Everybody should definitely check out New Medicine, though. They're gonna come back, and I think they're gonna come back big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have yet to see them, so tonight will be I'm popping my cherry on them tonight. But I'm excited though because it's Minnesota.
Jenna, you lost your cherry a
We're
long time
recording
ago.
a bit of a live video
my new
here.
medicine cherry.
We did ask Yvonne and Jenna if they have ever made out with any band member.
He really wants to go in on this one, doesn't he?
I mean, it cannot be confirmed or denied, correct? But
Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
the way you bursted out in laughter, that confirms it.
Well, it's not like it would be like saying like, "Hey, are you guys groupie whores?" Like, come on. Are you guys groupies? No, but we're not innocent. But come on, who is?
It is.
Who is? Who is?
All right, what time is it?
All right, we got to get going. Couple more questions.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, this is interesting.
I need to
You were
know.
dreading it.
Yeah, you were
totally
dreading it. Now we can't get her to shut
Now
up.
we can't get a shut
Well,
up.
I just need to look at what time it is because
We can always.
They're supposed
pick
to
this
call
up,
me.
too.
Okay. Do you have any horror stories with either the festivals or the bands to keep it short? Like some horror stories, like, damn it, that's really
I'm
messed
actually
up.
trying to think about. I mean, well, there is one which is why I'm not a huge fan of Five Finger. I don't know. Can I tell them the alternative name I've given them? Five Finger Cunt Punch.
The five digits. The 5 digits.
The five,
Swing?
The Five Finger Cunt Punch. That's what I call them. So no, so I was really disenchanted with Ivan one year when we went to it was Knotfest. It was like one of the 3 years that Knotfest was here, and they were running behind on schedule, and they had to cut the set short because it's Slipknot's festival, right? And Ivan was like, "I'm not getting off a stage until I see where," and they actually had to like cut the mic and like cut all the sound and everything. And I'm like, that's really disrespectful. They asked you to be here, and then you kind of shit all over their parade, and you're like, oh, and they actually had to cut the mics and everything for him and get him off stage. But I was very, very disenchanted with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm just kind of like, you know what?
I
seem like you're a
haven't
little
been
entitled.
disappointed like that.
Yeah.
What would you consider a disappointment with a band?
See, I have a couple of things where I just like random things to me just like really bug me, but I also think that probably has something to do with my.
I mean, I changed
my audio engineering
listening
background.
to bands like I changed my underwear. I just
So not very often.
not very often. Or what underwear?
That's that's even if you wear underwear.
I mean, what
Oh,
underwear?
she wears underwear. I'm the one who doesn't. Everybody knows I don't wear underwear unless I'm in jeans. Now, Yvonne, she's the kind of girl who she wears her pair of underwear for 4 days, front and back, and then inside front and back. You should see her when she wears the thong up the front.
Yeah.
There's many different combinations.
And if
They can wear that
anybody
underwear.
believes what she just said, I got some oceanfront property in Colorado for you.
What's the most memorable story you have or memory when it comes to live music or concerts? Or, I mean, if you have a couple.
Like with a band or just like live,
Just
like
in
concert?
general?
Because we kind of talked about it earlier with, like our favorite concerts and festivals.
But maybe there's like, you know what? I met this person. I had a lot of times they say don't meet your heroes because you're going to be disappointed.
So more like, what's our favorite like instance of meeting a person in a band or
just
meeting
in
the
general,
band?
Okay, so Art of Dying. I'm gonna Art of Dying.
Oh yeah, you're hard on that tree too, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm.
That's what she said.
Her nipples are hard. I can tell.
They,
beep.
doot doot.
Honk, honk.
Yes. we're
So
children.
I met them. So okay, here's a bad thing. So met them when Rockville was actually in what's it called?
Jacksonville.
When it was in Jacksonville.
Yep.
When it was in Jacksonville, it was like 2012, and they were playing. Johnny was lit, like walking through the crowd and was lit. He stopped drinking, so I mean that says a lot. Totally changed. So I guess that was when I was kind of disenchanted, and then I became enchanted again because they went off on this. I mean, he was going to do a cooking thing with me. They were doing different things, and
You know
so
how to cook? No, I'm just kidding.
well, once.
Do you even need to cook?
No. And so, and we've just become really good friends. And so Tavis lives in Vegas, and all of us have just really become really good friends. And I got to go do merch for them at this one-off gig that they were just doing. And we had so much fun. They're the best guys. I took pictures of them, and they said, you know what? That looks like a great album picture. So maybe one day my picture will be on their album.
Now, does it actually have your face on it, or is it just
No, it's theirs. It would just be me having credit for taking the picture.
Oh, I thought it was a picture of you, and they thought it. And I was like,
No.
yeah, it's got to definitely be a picture of the bazooka boobs.
This fat ass isn't going anywhere near an album cover.
Hey, come on! They've written songs about badonkadonks. You never know.
All the bands that need to license a picture of Yvonne, it'll sell like hotcakes. I mean, earlier you were saying,
I just
bing,
snorted
bing,
you
bing. No,
dead.
this is how it goes. Bing, boing, boing. Definitely that sells.
You're like the
So-
little squeaky toy.
I have one more.
Yes, go for it.
Steal
Zach
it.
Wild.
Ooh.
So Zach Wild came and played in Reno, and I've been trying to up my game in the promotion area. Anyway, Zach Wild came, and his
Oh, this was recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
yeah, like a little over a year ago, maybe. His security dude, who was also like tour manager and everything else. So they had this pre-meeting, and I think they totally forgot where they were playing because it was just hilarious.
Somewhere that it's not LA.
Yeah.
On the road.
And he looks at me and he goes, all right, he goes, here's what we need. He goes, we need you with the car waiting with the doors open and ready to just go. And I looked at him and I went, okay. And I was driving a Sprinter van. So I looked at him and went, okay, you do know you're in Reno, right? And he looks at me and he goes, no, he goes, you've got to have, he goes, I want the front and the back door open, and it was a slider door. And,
Jumping
I'm
on
like,
the run.
I'm like, all right, whatever you want. So I'm sitting out there. There was not a throng of people anywhere to be seen. I don't even think anybody knew besides the people that were inside the venue that it was Zach Wilde.
Bummer.
So they come strutting like quickly out the back door. Literally.
Yeah.
Out the back door. And they get in the van and they slam the doors and they go, okay, go. And I go to take off.
Go.
Should I squeal a tire to make you feel better,
no,
boys?
No. So I step on the gas and the light turned red and I stopped them all. Sorry, safety first. And so I get to the hotel, I drop him off, and Zach literally comes up and he kisses my cheek, and I was like, oh,
Instantly wet between the legs.
yeah. I was like, you're so sweet. He was, and
I've
so,
heard he is really cool.
He is really sweet.
Thank you for saving me.
But the whole stopping at the red light, I literally stopped and I'm like, and it couldn't have been more than 200 feet. 200 feet from where I was. I just put on the brakes. Sorry, guys. Safety first. I'm not running any red lights for you tonight. So,
and didn't you pick him up at the airport in a shirt that said "I don't care" or something like that?
Yeah. So I pick him up at the airport. So their tour bus broke down, and so they had no gear. They almost canceled the show, and so I had to go pick him up. They flew him in, so I had to go pick him up, and I didn't even know they were coming. I wasn't paying attention to who it was. And so I get out and I go back around the backs and I open the door so that they can put what they have with them, their gear, their guitars and stuff in there. And Zach comes around the corner and he looks at me and he goes, "Hi, I don't care. Thanks." I'm all, "You too, huh?" So that was, he goes, "You're the best driver I think I've ever had." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah, she knows how to.
All right, guitar god, get in the
drive.
van.
Yeah, just get in.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
She knows how to give a man a good ride.
Yeah, how about you, Jenna?
All right. So I guess I met the Avatar boys. Well, I guess, yeah, I've met all of them, but I met specifically the two guitarists, Jonas and Tim, and I met them randomly at the Rainbow. This is why I love living where I live. The world comes to me. I meet all sorts of crazy people.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we say that really quick? Like, Jenna is an unofficial landing spot or save me from my hotel. My bus broke down and I don't have where to stay place.
I'm kind of a rock and roll den mother is kind of what I call myself.
Everyone loves you for that.
Yes.
Can we say really quick that at some point I was freaking drunk, passed out.
I've had the carpet replaced since. Yeah. I have had a lot of memories. I've had the carpet replaced then, but man, my carpet almost looked like cheetah print, and it was not. It had so many stains, drink spills, everything all over the place. I almost thought about saving like a square foot of that and like framing it and being like,
everyone
all the
has
memories,
all
the actually only 3 people have thrown up in my apartment.
Me
you being one of them. But hey, you know what? It was your last hurrah before baby came. Yep. So hey, you know what? It was well worth it. And then I didn't see you for a couple of years after that because you were busy being a daddy.
You were daddy in it.
I was daddying.
Daddy.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's your daddy?
But no, so yeah, I met the
daddy.
Avatar boys there. It was fun. It was cool. I came out to them and I was like, "Oh my God, I like you," and they were a little out of it. So we started talking afterwards and we went to like my spot where I normally sit. Like I almost have a spot at the Rainbow, and went our separate ways. And the next day I came back, it was like a Saturday, got off of work and I go back to the Rainbow and I'm sitting there and lo and behold, they're sitting in my same spot. So I started chit chatting with them again. And
there was driving them back to the bus for bus call.
Oh yeah, there was one. There was for Aftershock too. Yeah, they came out with us. Well, this must have been like 3. No,
that was that same year I met you.
That was that.
They played at Aftershock.
Yeah, it had to have been
17-ish.
Yeah,
16.
No, I met them in 2016.
Yeah, 16.
September 2016. But yeah, they played Aftershock then. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Remember,
so
we had to shove them in my car, and
yeah.
I had this little Hyundai Tiburon, a 2-door car that you couldn't fit I couldn't even sit in the back seat, so I don't even know how we got people in the back seat.
She had to make 2 trips. She had to make 2 trips because there were 4 of the guys came out with. There was a guitar tech, a sound guy, and then Jonas and Tim. And we were all like, "Oh, the show got done at 9:00. Like bars don't close till 2." So we all got like, "Oh, we won't." We really crammed into a Lyft ride and went to this cool bar that we had found the night before.
But then getting them back to the bus, we had to get them in my car because they, we couldn't get them in there. And it was like, we come to the security guard and the security guard's looking at, I'm like, look, I got to get these guys to their bus. If I don't get these guys to their bus, we're all in trouble.
Right.
You too. And so.
Did you show them like how many people in your car? 4 or 5?
She had 4, but she had to make 2 trips.
God bless your heart.
But yeah, so I would say that was probably my favorite summer because actually I hung out with him quite a bit in like the 2 weeks that they had off here. So that was pretty cool.
Is that what they were recording, one of the albums?
No, they had a really big U.S. tour, and there was a 2-week lapse in the middle of it. Okay. And so the rest of the band went back home because they had wives, girlfriends, or kids, whatever. But the other 2, they're like, we've never hung out in California. They'd only played there once before. My first time seeing them was actually their first time playing in California, which was Knotfest 2014. So they had never been to California other than that. So they're like, well, we don't have anything to go back for, so let's hang out. And so they were going around and just kind of like seeing the sights. And that's how I met them. I actually ended up giving them a ride down to another friend's house in Newport Beach for a while. They actually Airbnb'd a sailboat, which is really cool. I didn't know you could Airbnb sailboats. That was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, a lot of times you end up being friends with bands that you were a fan of, and because of live circumstances.
I'm just so glad that the first night I was like, oh my God, I absolutely love you guys. You guys are the best. And then I'm like, you guys are mostly like, you guys are a big reason I'm going on Shiprocked for the first time. And then they, but they were a little faded, so they didn't remember me fangirling. So that was great.
Lo and behold, a few years after, and they're a class act.
Yeah, well, they had their. They were definitely like in their up and coming stage. That's actually something that's really fun is to watch bands like up and coming, like watch them from start to finish. Like I did that with Bad Flower.
I did that with Hailstorm.
Yeah, Bad Flower, and then Nothing More. I saw them a bunch of times too, like just sitting here when. So yeah, that's real fun to watch the come up, watch them go from nothing and then get that record deal and explode into something huge. That's pretty cool.
Which is one of the reasons I wanted to ask you both. I think it's funny how both of you have very similar experiences, and you two are also friends. So
well, you've seen a
lot of rock and roll happening.
If you hang out with us, you'd know why we're friends. And it's not all just music. We stick fingers where we shouldn't. Yeah. You're lucky you didn't greet her with your hiney showing for sure.
Okay. I want to say that people like you keep our bands or the genre of music that we like alive. So that's why I wanted to ask those questions. Aww. And you both have a lot of interesting stories, but if you can give me a 1-minute wrap up short story about Hailstorm, because you brought it up twice. It seems to be that's like a situation or a band that you're very proud of and say,
she's a groupie.
Look how far they've come.
I'm not even a groupie for them. I mean, they've literally.
It's mostly because you know them, right?
Right. It's because, God, what year was that? 2010? Yeah, it was like 2010. And I heard I Get Off. And that was the song that's the song that started it all.
I think it's my favorite.
And I found out that they were going to play in Sacramento. So I got my tickets for Sacramento at this little hole in the wall club in Sacramento. And I got my tickets, and of course I get my tickets for Sacramento, and then they put on a Reno show a week later. Hey. So, and it was, they were
twice the fun.
One night away from each other. And so I took my son down to Sacramento with me and went and saw them, and they hung out after we we watched the whole set. We stayed there the whole time. And then I talked to Lizzie, and I'm like, I have so many stories about Hailstorm. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
We need like 2 episodes with you.
When it comes to Hailstorm. And so I looked at Lizzie, and I go, Lizzie, we'll see you tomorrow night. And she goes, yeah, sure, whatever,
Yeah.
And
They
then
hear that all the time.
right,
so-
right. And then they saw us out. I mean, they weren't even going in. They were just outside. They were outside. They had this little red motorhome. It was
Corvette.
it was Betty. They
Cute.
called her
Betty.
Betty. They called her Betty. And so they were coming in from there, and she looks at me and she goes, Yvonne. I'm like,
She
I told
remembers your
you.
name.
Oh yeah. And RJ
You're hard
comes
to miss,
over.
though.
So I mean, yeah, there's lots.
Why? Why do you say that? What's,
I mean,
it's the hair.
I mean,
It's
the
the
hair.
hair
It's the hair.
definitely
It's
helps.
the
it's the
hair.
beautiful eyes.
But then, have you seen the size of her thumbs and her hands? That'll do some damage. That'll get someone to
All right.
remember you real quick.
So we'll have to do more stories about Hailstorm because there's a lot. That's the one band that I can tell you that I've watched from Itty Bitty.
yeah.
Itty Bitty.
We all have a band that I feel it feels like we're very, very proud of.
Yeah.
Like, I saw them, starting their early club shows, gigs. And anyway, thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you for letting us, Mama Jenna. Do your friends have a name for you?
I do have some people who have me in their phone as Mama Jenna. So now even like my Netflix and account, it's Mama Jenna. Yeah.
As she
Mama
mentioned
Jenna.
earlier, I once passed out here in her
Many
living
people
room,
have.
like amongst many other, my face was all in the middle of all my puke, where all the other rock stars have also passed out possibly, but she took care of me, and I had to take off the next day, all still drunk at 3-4 in the morning.
And your wife was wondering where you were until she found out he was hanging out with Jenna.
They were about to set up
okay.
an Amber Alert. Anyways, Mama Jenna, Yvonne, thank you very much. So many
Thanks for
great
having us.
stories.
Thank you.
I
Let's
want
do
to
this
have
again.
the stories
This was fun.
and experiences from two rock and roll fans. And again, I want to say that people like Jenna and Yvonne are keeping our music alive. So I tip my hat. I salute you for doing what you do and for bringing rock to the next generations.
Rock and roll.
I love you,
not
ladies. Thank you very much.
dead.
This is Enrique with Jenna and Yvonne, and this is the Rock On Podcast.
Woohoo.
Woo.
Whoop whoop.
All right. Oh, I wasn't recording. Shit.